WWE, once again, we've mentioned it before, they've been counterbooking AEW. Now, you've been in territories before
They
where
do that.
where there has been this kind of thing going on. So, AEW has been counterbooked by WWE in several instances in recent months, including responding to All In with no less than 3 super shows in 2 days. That is the NXT Great American Bash, the Saturday night's main event, and the Women's Evolution show on Sunday as well. So, this, everybody is surmising, is all to affect the pay-per-view buy rates and maybe even the attendance of AEW All In. And also, there's an example recently where apparently WWE were trying to book the old ECW arena the week before AEW was going to begin a 7-week residency in that same building. Now, instead...
A 7-week residency?
Yeah.
Or a 7-day?
No, 7-week. They were going to stay there for a good few shows.
So they were trying to book it. Hey, this is a common thing that WWE, even back, I think when it's WWF, I think they did that because they fought WCW tooth and nail back and forth. And that was they would try to book sometimes they'd book the same town, the same night. Pick Jacksonville, Florida. They would say if somebody was, WCW was running one building in Jacksonville, they would book the other building and actually out advertise them. And neither one of them they would probably draw like half of what they would want to draw unless they just had something spectacular, which I don't think they ever did. But I think it was the WWF was going to try to hurt WCW, which had millions and millions and millions of dollars, but it was a TV station first. And just because wrestling lost money, they would lose money for a year or two, and then they were hoping they would get rid of it. Vince McMahon, who was the owner at the time, he had no other business, so he could do this without consulting with anyone. I think it was actually bad on the fans because maybe some fans would like to have gone to both of them, but you'd have to pick one because you couldn't be in two places at the same time. So, and that went on for about a year or so.
With this weekend, it's only harming people with a finite amount of time, really, because the hardcores will buy the pay-per-view and then record everything on free TV or watch it on Peacock or wherever it is. So it's just the only people lose out are the fans, maybe the women on the WWE Evolution pay-per-view, because that was a heavily papered crowd, so we understand, because there was so much else going on. I mean, Bill Goldberg's retirement was taking precedence booking-wise over the entire women's pay-per-view. And then SummerSlam's in a couple of weeks. And then Clash in Paris is happening at the end of August. I mean, we could we could agree on that there's too many big shows anyway.
When is the Battle of Britain coming up?
That happened in somewhere in the 40s. Or maybe.
Well, how did the Evolution women's pay-per-view go?
Critically, it went very well. Business-wise, not that good as far as paid attendance, but ultimately it was booked to just pile on to AEW at the detriment of WWE's own business, because it's more important for whatever reason in their mind, I guess, to dump on AEW as much as they can to cost them pay-per-view buys.
Well, if you talk to somebody in WWE, if you ask them about the war, and I've said this,
there is no war. Well, there clearly is, apparently, in their mind.
There is no war, but
they're acknowledging them. They're acknowledging there's a war.
Absolutely, by running against them. Because why did they pick that spot, that town, this time? Because they had to have something to go by. But I think that Tony Khan, he's a billionaire. His father is a billionaire. So I think finding WCW, they had shareholders to answer to. I think the Khans, they just got to answer to themselves, and I don't think it bothers them.
Do you know how much they're worth? That just came out recently. The Khan family, how much they're worth.
How much are they worth?
Just shy of $10 billion. I think they're like the ninth most wealthy sports franchise owners in the world at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So, does it bother them? I mean, they can do what they want to do, but to me, it hurts the fans. It really does. And I think WWE, they don't want to give an inch, and they haven't given an inch. And I think Tony, just by hanging in there and fighting them tooth and nail, and he has, it may be to his benefit in the long run. I hope so.
With WWE or even WWF, I mean, there's so many examples like Mid-South and Bill Watts, they attempted to, run against them. NWA constantly, we'll talk about that in a second. The AWA everywhere on the West Coast, they were incredibly aggressive and were actively trying to hurt, especially the NWA's business when they were running free shows against the pay-per-views, and then vice versa. NWA would and WCW would do that. I mean, that's how the Royal Rumble event was born, is that was originally a free television special to run against whatever it was, Bunkhouse Stampede or whatever it was. So, but also, you've been in promotions, including the NWA at the time in '86 when you were with the Kansas Jayhawks, but also you were part of the Georgia Wars. I say part of, you were working for Ann Gunkel when she was fighting the NWA at the time in the early 70s. I mean, any other examples of, the dirty tricks that promotions would do?
Well, they would just really push their show or the opposition show or whoever you were fighting against the regular company or vice versa. But they would both end up running on the same night, actually sometimes within a mile or two of each other. And one would have to hurt the other one. If somebody says, well, I'd like to go that one, but I'd rather go to this one first. So, and that couldn't last forever, but it was obvious that they were doing it just to hurt each other. Not necessarily they had better wrestling, just that, they would just want to take, and for a few tickets, I guess less than 100 tickets or 200 tickets. But back in those days, 200 tickets, took on quite a bit of importance, a lot more than it does now. A couple hundred tickets, they wouldn't even, that's a flash in the pan. It's, let that go.
What about Memphis and the Poffo territory? Would they run really close to each other, or would they generally keep their distance?
The Poffo territory was up in Kentucky. But what they would do, they would come to the show, say the Memphis territory would run Lexington, Kentucky, that Rupp Arena, which was almost a 20,000 seat arena, because basketball in the state of Kentucky was very, very popular. And they would actually stand out in the parking lot and people coming in, and they would be handing their folders out to the people coming to the Memphis show. And there've almost been a couple of fights out in the parking lot, because instead of standing where the people would come in, they would stand where the wrestlers would pull in. And so that was some bad feelings out there. So they would have to have some police out there, because guys would be hollering back and forth at each other. I never did that. So I figured, well, it's not my company, so I'm not going to go out and holler at somebody and try to get in a fight with them because they were told to come out here and hand these flyers out. So, but it was just, they were trying to hurt see, I don't know how standing out in a parking lot is going to stop somebody from buying a ticket when they're there just for that event. Handing out your flyers is one thing, but you're not going to stop them from going into the building.
Who would be looking for a fight, or who would be arguing with the Poffo guys?
Randy Savage, probably. He was out there. Now, and Lanny wasn't going to fight you. And they had a few more guys, hotheads, and and both sides had hotheads too. And sometimes when you challenge a guy, he'll answer that challenge. He'll stand up to it. And They never really had a fight because they had a lot of cops around, but there was a few that almost happened out there.
Right, so we've got
like
a couple.
They had a midget coming in one time, and I wanted to fight him. I thought I could beat him, so.
But then it turned out to be Bill Dundee.
Yeah.
Then you realised he was on your side.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna tell Bill you said that.
That's fine.
He listens to the show.
No, he doesn't.
You calling me a liar?
Well, does he?
Yes, he does.
Oh, good.
So, Bill, hello, buddy. You're doing well.